So we are taking a look today at how to mix forest gray from the supergranulating watercolors from Schmincke Horadam. And the forest colors are one of the oldest mixes they have in their supergranulating range. This was one of the sets from the first generation, I would say, like the forest colors, the glacier, the galaxy, and the deep sea ones. Those were the first, one of the first they were, and yeah, I think the forest group is one where a lot of the names are a bit confusing, because when I look at this color, gray is probably, yeah, it is somewhat right, but also somewhat, it's more, I think it's more brownish. Maybe you could categorize it as a very dark, warm gray. Some of the other forest names are a bit confusing in my opinion, because, for example, there is a forest brown that looks not really brownish. Yeah. I think most of the forest colors are personally not completely my cup of tea. The group is definitely not one of my favorites. To be honest, there are some colors that definitely are, like the name giver of the group, forest, for sure, very helpful if you want to draw or color something forest-like. But yeah, I don't have a lot of uses for them. I did not buy them individually. They came with a limited edition set. I've bought a wooden box, which was a cooperation between Schmincke and Gerstecker, the biggest European art shop, and came also with a little ceramic palette. And they were in the set, so I wouldn't have bought them probably on their own. So I did do a mistake here while mixing. I did recreate it in the end, so stay tuned to the end, because PG50 is a cobalt pigment, and if you have seen my cobalt video, I did one for cobalt green and cobalt turquoise. You see that PG50 you find in the green and the turquoise category. So depending on which brand you're using, you find it in a cobalt teal, cobalt turquoise, or as a cobalt green. And also the cobalt green can have different shades. So I did use a cobalt green from M-Gram here, which is also a PG50. But in the end, when my swatch was dried, I realized that it looks different. It is warmer and a little bit more, I would say, greenish than the original. And I had to think about why that is. The reason, because I knew Schmincke Horadam also has a cobalt green that looks exactly like this one. But then I realized it isn't a PG50 one, it's a PG19. And even when the colors look very identical, it is a different pigment. So the cobalt greens from Schmincke are that they are, I think all of them aren't a PG50 one. The only PG50 I think in Schmincke is the cobalt turquoise. So that's why in the end I did again do the mixture with the turquoise version from Schmincke. If you use a cobalt turquoise, a PG50, then if you really want to recreate the mixture that it looks completely identical to the original, you must either use, if you use a PG50, really the one from Schmincke, because all PG50s normally have a more greenish tint, and the Schmincke version has a more bluish tint. If you don't have the Schmincke version, I think the best replacements wouldn't be a PG50, but a PB28 cobalt turquoise version, like for example Rosa Gallery or White Nights do offer, because the PB28 one, which is mostly used as a cobalt blue, the cobalt teal or turquoise is mixed, not mixed, done with a PB28 are more this bluish tint like the Schmincke version. So that's why, for that reason, just keep in mind that there are different shades, and depending on what you have and what you use, the results can look differently. It doesn't mean you have done something wrong. It is just really, really can have a very big impact, this small color shade differences of a pigment. So just that you keep in mind. The other pigments in this mixture is a PBK11. I've used the one from Daniel Smith. This is called Lunar Black. Other brands offer it as a Mars Black, Aquarius Black, or as its more traditional name, Iron Oxide Black or Black Iron Oxide, as it is, like it said, a pigment from the iron oxide color or pigment family, better said. Also, this pigment can granulate super strongly, like the version here from Daniel Smith, which also impacts, of course, your end result, because the Schmincke version doesn't granulate that strongly. There are, depending on the brands, different variations of how strongly the pigment granulates. For example, I do know that Roman Schmal offers 3 different versions, from fine to middle to rough. So that also definitely impacts your end results. The last pigment is a PBR7, and this is of course also an iron oxide pigment, a brown iron oxide. And this pigment can have so many different shades, so that of course doesn't mean it doesn't matter which shade any will do. The end results will definitely look completely different if you use another version. The version from Schmincke is their burnt umber, so you need at least a version that looks burnt umberish, like this version. There are some brands that do offer a single pigment PBR7 burnt umber, but most brands, to be honest, use a mixture in their burnt umbers. I do prefer the single pigmented ones, but there aren't super much brands that do offer this. So you must take a look what your brand is offering, what you're using, or what you do have in your collection. And also the version from Schmincke here does not granulate very strongly, to be honest. So, as you see, the different here in the end results. The version with the cobalt green is a lot warmer and has a lot more a greenish tint to it in comparison to the original. I did definitely use too much of the cobalt turquoise in my recreation of the original, so mine is more, like the names say grayish. It looks more like a gray than the original one, but also a little bit more bluish grayish because of the cobalt turquoise. So also my result is not very satisfying here. So if you want to recreate it, and it really should look like the original, the highest amount is the PBR7 in here, with a bit of the black and a bit of the cobalt turquoise. That is how you get to the original version. Nevertheless, I think all three versions could be very helpful depending on what you want to achieve. I don't think that my two versions that I recreated are complete failures, because I think they are good on their own. They are definitely not exactly like the original, but I do think that I have uses for all of them in the end. So sometimes doing or using the wrong amount of the pigments can give you new shades of a color or completely new colors. And sometimes those look horrible, and sometimes they can be very beautiful and very helpful. Sometimes with doing mistakes, you get oh Jesus, I'm so sorry. My brain is not working properly today with talking in English, it seems. The last week was absolutely horrible. I had 6 days in a row with migraine, and that was why that is always in the end, like 1 to 3 days afterwards, my brain is a little bit mushy. So I'm really, really sorry for all the mistakes in talking today. Yeah, what I wanted to say is you can discover, that was the word I was searching for, discover new interesting color mixes with doing mistakes. And yeah, I think that's always the beauty with and the exciting thing with mixing colors yourself, is to find or discover something new and interesting and beautiful with that. So as much as I'm mixing lazy, that is the reason why I really sometimes do love doing my own mixes, or do try to mix something new, because sometimes you get to find something really, really awesome with doing this. So even when I did it not completely correctly here, I really do hope that this video was helpful, especially with my little mistake with the PG50, so that you don't do the same mistake as I did. Or maybe you say that the version with cobalt green looks more beautiful to you, and maybe that yeah, can help as well. So I really do hope the video was interesting and helpful for you, and I would absolutely love to hear your personal opinion here, especially if you do like one of the three versions here, or if you do like the color at all, because I think there are definitely good uses in forest scenes for the color, but I think, like most of the forest colors, the uses here are more limited than with other colors, because a lot of them are very muted colors, and I think their using range is definitely more limited than with other colors in the supergranulating color family. So yeah, your opinion would be nice to hear if you want to share. And as always, a thumbs up or a follow is very, very much appreciated, because it helps me in the channel so much. That's why thank you very much for watching the video and for giving maybe a thumbs up or a follow. If you did, thank you. And yeah, I really, really hope you have a good day, and maybe see you soon in another video. Take good care of yourself, guys, and yeah, bye bye.